those record highs as far as the SIP numbers are concerned and the mutual fund data that Sharad just came out with. But let's move on and take a look at the IT pack in terms of technicals. What's in store for the IT lot? Let's go across to my colleague Kunal, who's joining us to break it down for us.
Why the Nifty IT Index is going through a potential a turnaround both on the short term as well as the long-term charts. Now, this is a very short-term trend, for the Nifty IT Index. How the index was beaten down significantly from the July highs of 39,500. We fell down as much as 5,500 points on the Nifty IT Index. More importantly, after spending time almost a couple of months over here in this tight range, we are looking at a potential breakout which could happen for the IT index. And this could potentially be a good breakout for the IT index because this is almost like a 2,000 to 2,500 point consolidation for the IT index. This could be very, very interesting for the near-term prospects. Now comes a chart perspective from the long-term play. Now, there has to be a point where the Nifty IT index gets into an oversold territory and it sees periodic bounces. We've looked at the charts over the last many years, and apparently this 40-day exponential moving average on the monthly charts, I think is a very strong support territory for the IT index. And if you've seen multiple times when the IT index has gone through a correction, the retracement happens at this 40 monthly moving average, and then from there starts the process of rebuilding as well as a point where the risk reward becomes extremely in favor for the IT index. A more recent one was in 2022-23, where the IT index fell from 40,000 to sub 30,000 levels. The correction halted at this key moving average, and then started the building blocks of a fresh rally, which started off, lasted for at least another 2 to 3 years. We are almost at the same point of the Nifty IT index in terms of the charts. So this could be something which is very, very critical, and this indicates that this could be a good value buy territory, even from a long-term perspective. Just to end with one perspective, Infosys, I think that's been the trigger point for the entire rally on the IT index. The last time when Infosys announced a buyback was in 2022. I think 13th of October, if I'm not wrong, was the date when the buyback was announced. The stock was almost at 1420 levels. It started off with a gap up opening, 5% uptick. But then what followed over the next 1 month was almost like a 240 point rally for Infosys. So it may not be a short-lived move. We are seeing a very similar kind of a move for Infosys this time around after that 5% up move which the stock has seen yesterday. So to sum it up, I believe that the IT index is in for a good revival, both on the short term as well as on the long term charts.
All right. Thank you, Kunal, for taking us through all those technicals for the IT sector as well as Infosys in particular. But moving on, let's also take a look at what's the bull versus bear case looking like for the Indian IT sector. Sharad and Varun are here to take us through that. Over to you.
Okay, so I would be the bull for IT sector and Sharad is going to be the bear, and let me put forward my first argument, that's the bull case. And see, for an Indian IT company, the most important thing is the US markets. And if you look in the US market, the most important thing now is the interest rate cut. And after the recent economic data, people are expecting an interest rate cut in the September policy and also going ahead. So definitely this will actually increase the overall discretionary spending, and that will impact the overall Indian IT sector. So that's my first point, and that is the US market and the rate cuts.
Well, yes, Varun, that's a good point you have raised, but do remember Indian IT companies and the global companies, there's a difference. The global companies are product-based. That's why they command a valuation premium in the markets. And no such premium is coming in for the Indian IT space, if you look at it. They are largely service-based. So this is, of course, you could say this entire year there has been an underperformance also in the IT stocks. It's just been 2 days of growth coming in the IT space.
But if you look at the management confidence, it comes from the Infosys buyback. On the 11th of September, Infosys has a board meeting. They are going to decide on the buyback, and it's after a long time that our IT company is coming with a buyback that eventually gives confidence among the investors that yes, there is a lot of strength still remaining in the overall IT space.
Well, yes, for shareholders it is good, but for the industry, not major investments coming in when it comes to R&D and AI, and that also gives a question in the industry. Also, there's a lack of names coming in when it comes to the AI or even the semiconductor race. We do not have actually a proper semiconductor setup, and neither we are having a full-fledged AI company. We are having some integrations, smaller ones.
But if you look at the overall commentary of several global giants and also the new clients, they are actually promising. Look at the commentary of Oracle Finance. After the commentary, the stock has shown a good jump. Also look at the commentary of United Health, which is one of the biggest clients of Persistent System. Also brokerage houses have upgraded the stock. So if you look at the global scenario, it is actually improving.
Well, yes, the mid-cap space is actually improving, Varun. That's a great point. But the divergence is very big. First, we look at the Nasdaq. This year itself, Nasdaq is up 13%. And the Nifty IT Index, I'm looking for gains and there aren't such gains. It's 14% down.
That actually shows you that the valuations are cheap, especially if you look at the major IT companies, Indian IT companies, the overall valuation after the recent fall have actually become lucrative, and this is the right time to buy the Indian IT companies.
Well, of course, the valuations have turned cheap, but the earnings have not been that strong, especially the hiring trends. That has been confusion for the last 2 odd quarters, and a lot of companies haven't even given the guidance yet.
The hiring trends are not strong. Also, the results were not that good, but yes, the companies are now diversifying. If you look at some of the good companies like TCS, they have recently got an order of around 550 million euros from the European countries. So yes, US might be a problem that has created problem in the overall earnings, but they are diversifying, and that would be a big tailwind for this company.
Well, yes, but US is creating one more problem, Varun, and that is the Hire Act. Of course, it's put out in the Senate. And interestingly, the question mark comes is on outsourcing. They are focusing much more on local labor. Right. And India is an outsourcing theme also in the export space. So that's a point which I was to ponder upon.
But actually, that's a positive point for Indian companies, because if you look, the rupee is actually depreciating and Indian companies are actually exporting. So definitely they earn in dollars, and definitely this will impact the overall earnings of these companies, and it is expected that the margins from here are expected to rise also.
Well, yes, margins, there is a very good, strong tailwind coming in. But the revenue is something which I am concerned, because AI billings might be there, and that might concern the IT companies. The work which was done by, say, 10 people in a group can be done at 4 people now. So that might be an error as well. Okay. So there is a lot of confusion here. Short-term basis, of course, Varun is winning with his bull case scenarios. But long-term, should we be cautious for IT? That's a question which we are looking out for.
All right, so that's a comprehensive breakup of how IT is going to fare.